Hello everyone, I'm Larry Fiedler, the founder of Worksteps. I started Worksteps in 1986 from my father's pipeline construction company. He was experiencing over $1 million a year on workers' comp. Since I'd worked out there as a young man, I knew exactly what the problem was. He did not have his people strong enough to do their job, and people were getting injured even the first day that they worked. So I designed a test to look at two important things. Number one was to screen them for medical conditions to make sure that they didn't have any pre-existing problem that would affect their ability to do their job. Number two was to find out if they were strong enough to do their job. So if they had to throw skids up in a truck, they threw skids up in a truck. If they had to lift buckets, they lift buckets. We just want to make sure that people were strong enough to physically do their job. And after I turned that into great success with him, reducing over 50% of his claims the first year, some of his friends began to do it, and it expanded out of Texas and went on to where it's now in all 50 states in 1,200 clinics. And the beauty of it is, it's a test that's designed with fairness in it. You pre-screen athletes. You pre-screen people for all kinds of things. But you don't pre-screen people who are doing hard work for you. It just didn't make sense to me. And it's been so successful for so many companies. And it really just answers those two questions. Am I medically and physically matched to my job? Then you look at the person and try to find out if there's motion in their knee that there shouldn't be there. You look at their strength and their deformities. You look at people like me who have, a broken finger that won't straighten all the way, or a broken wrist that won't go backwards at all, or a thumb that's dislocated that's still weird. And we all have these little things, but they're impairments. And those impairments cost you if somebody claims an injury after they have these pre-existing conditions. And that's the whole premise of this test. The law under the ADA says that you have the right to screen people, but you can't discriminate against disabled individuals. So I'm not disabled because I have these impairments in my hand, but I am impaired. And in most states, there is a thing called apportionment. We'll talk about it in a minute. But basically it says if you can subtract what's pre-existing from a claim, you don't have to pay for it, but you have to have evidence of it, and you will not have evidence of it by just hiring people without physically measuring them. And you can't just measure their hand, you got to measure their elbow. If it's less, like mine is as well, it won't straighten out all the way. You got to look at shoulders. If they're normal, fine. If there's a deficit, you have to measure it. Or in the eyes of the law, it doesn't exist. And those are the kind of ways that we help you. Under the ADA, it says you can test new hires this way. And I developed my test even before the ADA, and it was just beautiful because our parameters fit right in there when we started. The second thing you can do is test existing workers in these ways, and that's exactly the way we do it, so to keep you in compliance. We follow an ergonomic model where we actually weigh and measure the objects. And then we take some of those objects and we cross-validate them with boxes or tools or whatever, so that we either use that item or we simulate it after we've done our research and validated it. The Worksteps system includes 3 models. The first is the ergonomic model, where you weigh and measure objects. You see how far they're carried. You look for pushing, pulling, sitting, climbing, crawling, all those kind of things. Then the medical model, where you take over 130 measurements of the body, looking at everything to make sure it's normal. Then the functional model, where you use the National Institute of Safety and Health NIOSH boxes to actually qualify people to go attempt their essential functions. And we're going to discuss those briefly in a minute. But the testing is customized to look at their job-specific strength. Number one is, are they coming out to try out for this job, can they do it? And we want them to prove it before they go and start doing it every day. Baseline full body measures. I've already showed you how just my hand has these impairments, and it could be a person's whole body, but it doesn't mean they can't do the job, because these things don't really affect my function. And then common cumulative traumas that we all experience, like back injuries that are very common, shoulder injuries for people over 50, carpal tunnel for people who sit and type all day, those type of things. So the best place to start is the job analysis. You go out and look and see what people are doing, what they're pushing, pulling. We also have the people rate them according to a system called PAVE, which is a computerized job analysis where you enter the data, you create the tasks, and you have the subject matter experts or the the incumbent workers come in and verify that those essential functions you've created feel just exactly like the ones that they're doing at work. Once that's done, you've got a bulletproof essential function test. We have a whole menu of occupational medicine services like drug and alcohol testing, DOT and non-DOT physicals, sleep apnea solutions, fractional medical director consulting, medical surveillance, silica testing, injury triage, COVID screening, and telehealth escalations. We also have a secure portal where you can view, manage, and track your results in real time to expedite ease of service for all your onboarding requirements. So remember, by simply evaluating the medical condition of the employee as it relates to their job performance and looking at their ability to actually perform the essential functions before they're placed in a job, you can significantly reduce your injuries, increase productivity, and have a great positive impact on your company. Please contact us and let us know how Worksteps can work for you.